What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala. It is your midweek Yala Butt episode, which is sandwiched by two other episodes at the start and end of every week because we are a thrice weekly podcast that talks about the current affairs, the hottest news with a touch of what, Terence?
Humor,
man.
yeah.
Humor. So
But
it's been a humorous few days, huh?
Hasn't been that funny. I think we're still reeling from that racist video going around.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Yeah,
still
there was a
feeling the
development,
effects.
right? The latest development is that we now know he's a Nanyang Polytechnic lecturer.
Correct. Yeah.
And he recorded another video, or he responded to Today or something, is it, when they interviewed him? Because
You mean the Dave Backlash, is it?
No, the other guy.
Oh, actually,
Mr.
I
Tan.
haven't seen that. No.
Because there was something, right? I also haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But apparently he was suggesting that people go look at the stats and all that.
Yeah. I think he was pulling up certain. From what I was reading about people outraged, from people who were outraged, was that he was pulling out certain stats and said there's a conversation that he was trying to start. And I mean, I'm not sure lah, but I think racist is a racist lah.
There's a conversation he's trying to start. Walao eh.
Yeah.
No, but I don't like someone's mother. I just go up to like, hey, your mom's a bitch. I'm
Yeah.
just starting a conversation about how your mom's a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. It's very
What kind of logics, yeah.
it's a very dog eat my homework kind of excuse lah, I think.
Yeah, but Pritam Singh had a very eloquent and articulate reply.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy a writer, yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen
Yeah.
it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Is it a
It's
one
good,
shot
it's
thing?
good. No.
okay,
My one shock thing, I keep it apolitical.
Oh really?
Yeah. Until I start doing grassroots political work. And then you
the
slowly
day that
start
we
me.
know.
Yeah, that's why. Now my background all white already, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, you get an idea lah.
Very whitewash.
Yeah,
the
that's
background. But,
Whereas you're like being pulled into hell.
Yeah. I'm in between. I nuanced
between.
nuance in between the dark and the white. I can't be one extreme. You know.
But yeah, we got some interesting stuff to talk about. Kind of down the what kind of path is it? It's not conspiracy theories. It's almost like part conspiracy theories, part debunking story.
But it's always interesting when this source speaks specifically. I mean, we can just talk about what the topic is first lah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what is it, man?
I think we talked about one of the directors of the National Center of Infectious Diseases, David Lye, who is quite prolific on social media. And the last time during the start of this Patuha Phase 2 heightened alert, he actually came out and said that people should actually go above and beyond whatever the government is recommending also lah. Because it's quite scary the how fast the variants spread and things like that. And this was in the thick of like everyone like freaking out about the unlinked community cases in Singapore lah. So
Yeah, and we spoke about it on Yalabat episode 159 as well.
Yeah,
May
159.
17th. So that was back in May.
And part of it was because it was quite a rare thing where you see someone from the authorities speaking on his own personal capacity and saying you should do more than what the government is telling you to do lah. So we thought that was quite rare and it was worth discussing. And this time he's come out with another Facebook post, but this one is feels much more like he's taking umbrage at his own community of doctors and the medical community. But what is he? And he says even that he's losing sleep over it, like insomnia. What
he
is he
literally
losing
said,
sleep
I
of?
suffered insomnia.
What's he losing sleep about?
I mean, he posted this on 7th June, which is just a few days ago. But I think it's in response to apparently increasing number of messages and petitions urging parents not to vaccinate their teenagers and demanding that our government stop mRNA vaccines and use Sinovac. Which is so fitting because it was just in the last episode where we talked about the differences between the two with Pfizer and what's the other one? Pfizer,
Moderna.
Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca.
No. What do you mean? As in,
isn't Pfizer, Moderna the same thing?
No, Pfizer and Moderna. Pfizer BioNTech is one. Moderna is another.
Oh,
AstraZeneca
Moderna,
is
Astra.
another, I think.
Pfizer BioNTech, Moderna, and AstraZeneca. They are all mRNA vaccines, and Sinovac is the non-mRNA one, which
Yep.
is the one with the weakened illness.
Yep.
So I don't. He also referenced a group, an open letter written by 12 GPs, general practitioners. I think like 1 or 2 months ago that was made public. That was telling parents basically, don't use these mRNA vaccines and use the Sinovac vaccine. So his whole post was just about debunking this anti-vaccine groups and why fake science is dangerous to the pandemic. But it feels like it wasn't just that open letter. It was almost the consequences of that open letter which has made David Lye go like, what the fuck, man? I need to speak out again. I need to come out from my man cave and speak out.
Yeah. And he's not even like shy about it. He's like, I don't need to verify. This is me. I'm posting this on my personal Facebook. He's like telling the reporters to like probably don't need to call him and verify whether he actually says this, because this is what he's saying.
Yeah. And he literally says, like, after the unintended attention from the social bubble Facebook post, which I assume is the one that we were talking about, he has stayed low. But I must now correct misinformation on COVID vaccination. He's like Batman, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking Batman, yeah. Badass, man.
He is.
Yeah. But what made you want to talk about this?
No, I mean, I felt that, this guy, obviously, he when he believes strongly enough in something, he doesn't seem afraid to speak his mind about it, especially when it comes to his field. And the last time, I think he was just imploring everyone to take all the precautions seriously and in fact try to go above and beyond what is being recommended lah. Which you could say is a positive. I mean, it's just us. You could say it's just reinforcing what was already told to people lah, right? But in this case, I think he's coming out quite firmly and producing instances and evidence of why you shouldn't listen to all this fake news or fake health alerts, so called. Being peddled by doctors, because it's true. A lot of people rely on doctors for information especially during a pandemic, right? You always feel like a doctor has access to better information and more research than you. I mean, even like last year during the pandemic, like I was asking my wife's gynecologist questions about COVID-19, so it just feels like you can trust a doctor's word much more than a layperson.
Anything useful come out of the conversation?
No, I mean, no. I was basically asking her about like vaccinations and things like that for pregnant ladies and all, and she said that essentially there wasn't she had read a couple of papers, but there wasn't anything enough conclusive to really for her to recommend either way lah, right? So in that sense, it just maybe assured me that you can only do what you can at this point, and you shouldn't be trying to go out of your way to do anything crazy or special to protect yourself, and if anything, even if just providing assurance that way, a doctor's word has that special weight to it, So that's why I think this David Lye is he has had sleepless nights, because he's probably talking about people he knows, or at least like friends of his friends, or what, other doctors that seem to be spreading so-called misinformation about the COVID virus. And then one of them was even the pioneer of the hepatitis B vaccination drive in Singapore. All right, Dr. Woon, much older cancer specialist,
Yeah, and two of the doctors who out of that 12 were also doctors who were on the open letter that was pushing people to wear masks back last year.
Correct.
So they seem to be quite a vocal group. So maybe that also plays into his fears, like, oh shit, they've already done 2 open letters. The first one, happened to be correct.
Yeah.
But the second one is like, what else?
Yeah.
What else?
Correct. So, I mean, you're asking me why this is interesting. I just feel like, every time this guy talks, there must be something that's really, like you say, driving him to come out of his bat cave, like Bruce Wayne like that,
Yeah, that's why we need like a DL light signal. Just shine it whenever we detect some fuckery going on. Because just 2 days ago, I don't know if you received this in your family WhatsApp group, but there was a message that started off by saying Singapore has become the first country in the world to perform an autopsy for a COVID-19 corpse. And You didn't see that?
No, I haven't received
It was spread enough that there were articles that an MOH had to come out and say that it was untrue.
What was what was the content of it?
It was claiming that Singapore had performed an autopsy on a COVID-19 patient and had allegedly changed treatment protocols for the disease as a result.
Oh.
Yeah, so it happened in my family group, and I mean, some of the bigger family groups, like I just don't pay attention to what comes out. But I saw one of my Singapore-based cousins kind of say, "Hi, uncle, this is untrue." Then I was like, "Ooh, what fake news is this?" Then I saw it and I thought it was just a small-time thing. But if you Google Singapore autopsy COVID, there's a few articles. So it made mainstream news. It made the headlines of Today, CNA, and Straits Times.
All debunking it, I hope.
Yeah, because MOH issued a statement.
I see. Okay.
So once MOH speaks, like the news has to pick it up, lah.
But the time MOM issued statement about Jade Rasif turned out to be completely false, right? So why must trust MOH? Why must trust?
I think in the hierarchy of ministries, maybe at this point MOH is like the untouchable, lah. When MOH speaks, everybody listens. MOM is like that your classmate who just does stupid stuff.
Yeah,
because their track record for the past year also with the foreign worker, the dorms, I think they are standing not as high as MOH.
But that's the thing, alright. Like when one ministry, like you say, does stupid things for the past few times, end up other ministries also get the rub, right? So
that's true.
You end up relying on a director of NCID's personal Facebook post more than you do on the MOH press release, right? Probably.
That is true. This is like the real implication of trickle down effect. We always hear the trickle down effect for the economy, right? Same way, like if I were to meet a Forbes 30 under 30 honoree now, because of Harsh Dalal, I'm like, you sure you real or not? You real or not?
Show me your papers and your crime.
Show me your papers. Show me.
Yeah, I can imagine David Lye, his first sleepless night probably was when Jade Rasif. The whole Jade Rasif thing was going on. He was probably thumbing through her Instagram. They're like, "Oh man, I can't sleep." I mean, because of the controversy, not because of other things. But I can't sleep because nobody's gonna believe other ministries from now on already. Right?
Yeah, I mean that is true. Like no one kind of rebutted MOH about this autopsy thing. Still, maybe it is one of those that oh my god.
But I wanted to ask you, because I do have friends who are doctors, and in fact, I have a group of friends who I have a Facebook, WhatsApp group where quite a number of them are doctors, obviously in different fields and even in different countries. They are doctors in different countries. But
then
we all went to
in the
school
group
together. Sorry, what?
Oh, you all went to school together.
Yeah, we went to school
how come
together.
you're in the group, yeah?
I mean, because I'm an interesting person,
You're like the court jester. All the doctors are like, Terence, tell us a joke.
No. In fact, I don't say much. I don't say much, to be honest. I'm very bad at WhatsApp groups. It's not because I don't like people. It's just I'm just not. I just in general, WhatsApp gives me a lot of anxiety, as you know.
Yeah, you're quite bad at general WhatsApp, not just WhatsApp groups.
Yeah. I intend. A lot of times I just switch it off because I don't want. I just don't. The anxiety just gets to me, when someone like, hey, how are you? Hey man, I just saw you the kind of thing, one message at a time, and then your phone keeps buzzing. I cannot stand it. And I know you love it. That's why it's like I told you before. I literally told you before. It gives me anxiety when people keep messaging me.
Yeah, but I do try to combine my messages now.
You do?
I do try.
Yeah,
I do.
It's a better thing. I feel it's better. I feel it's better. But anyway, I was just saying that, there, even within that group, there's I get the feeling that there's a lot of difference in opinions about the vaccines as well. And some of them are saying, based on what I've read in my country's research papers and all that, I feel that blah blah blah. And then there's I don't know whether it's a troll or what, but there's one or two anti-vaxxers in the group also who keeps bringing up all this very dubious research from other sources.
And he's a doctor.
No, he's not a doctor, but
he's not a doctor.
He's he's not a stupid person either, but he's not a doctor, But he brings up a lot of these dubious research sources, and I don't see the doctors merely jumping at him to shut him up and all, I don't know whether it's just that they are being polite or it's just the fact that maybe they don't know everything either, and they can't immediately just say that's fake. So I'm quite kind of curious what is pushing these doctors to do what they're doing. Because we're not just talking about saying that don't vaccinate your children, but they're also proposing even alternative treatments, right? Like some ivermectin or something like that is used to treat parasites in the body or something. And apparently according to this David Lye, he says that there were tests done even in one of the dorms or something, and the results weren't very promising. The results showed that it's not true. So what do you think is driving these doctors to come out so publicly and put their names out there and say that, oh, you should try this and that?
Because so there was this one reply that I believe David Lye put in the comment thread of his post, which is quite active and if I recall, it was him or some other doctor shit. I can't find it, but basically the person was saying that when people were saying, okay, like there's a lot of these things about the mRNA, because I think objectively the weakened virus as a vaccine technology has been around for longer than mRNA vaccines. But I think mRNA vaccines didn't just come out from this COVID period. It's been in existence for previously as well, just not as long as the weakened virus. So I think in terms of research, long-term effects, there might be less compared to the weakened virus, right? But in the comment thread, someone was saying, okay, how can you guarantee that nothing would happen to my children in future? What if I have sleepless nights and insomnia thinking about that? And I believe it was David Lye, I think, who said that right now the balancing act is basically, if the short term is that you might die from COVID, then any long-term effects of these vaccines is almost worthwhile because it prevents the short-term death. And he did also say that medical science progresses very quickly, and if there are problems in 10 to 20 years, hopefully it can be addressed then. Like when I read that, I was like, oh shit, maybe that really is the case, that there is a lot of uncertainty in these vaccines. No one is 100% sure, but when you weigh the benefits versus the disadvantages, it still makes sense to take the vaccines. So maybe these doctors are just focusing on the downsides, which are hard to rebuke if you don't take into account the benefits. Because honestly, reading this comment thread, right, when it starts getting technical, I get fucking confused, and then I don't know who to believe anymore again.
Yeah. So basically you're saying, of course there are downsides, but you must look long term. Being able to even survive the long term is a huge upside already.
Like that's the sentiment that seems to be the case with doctors. Because
sounds like dating advice, man.
It's advice for everything, bro. You can meet this person.
Maybe things are not good now, but you must think the long term and the joy that you have in a relationship. Whereas the short term pains, you just look past them.
Exactly. If your partner's an asshole, doesn't want to party and all, but is very responsible, good with the fiscal priorities, then maybe that's a good thing for the long term. If you have this other partner who's just want to fuck all the time,
he's very fun. He's just fun to be with.
She's just fun. Correct. Don't go for that person.
Think long.
Wait. Based on my analogy, based on my what I just said, should I go for the fun one or the long term one? No, the long term one right? That's what the doctors are saying right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I wish there was such like directors of institutions who come out and verify that, this guy is worth dating because long term he's very good. Then you can
the social
on yourself.
SDU which the social development unit, which was rebranded to something else, I think. For those maybe who never heard of SDU before, right, it was literally this arm of the government that I think their KPIs were to organize events for singles and to get them to mingle. So they were like a government Tinder but in real life.
And it was quite a butt of jokes back then, right?
It was. But so basically, going back to your question about reading it, that's what, to me, what I can glean from reading through all these comments, that no one's really sure, but you have to weigh the pros and cons.
And then I think today or one of the newspapers, they interviewed the guy, who drafted that letter that the 12 doctors signed off on, that the 11 of them later retracted their support. they interviewed the guy. I think his name is Dr. Young, and then he said, you should trust your elders lah in these kind of things. And I think when I read that, then that's the point I felt like, okay, I don't trust this guy already.
Trust your elders?
That's what he said lah. So because to me it's like the moment you fall on like seniority based on age, that's when I think you start making a bit you can start making start having a lot of blind spots, a lot of biases that are not very logical, I mean, if you ask any old person, I mean, literally last week, China changed its children policy from 1-child policy to now 3-child policy and all that, right? And in the 70s, there was this madness, or not madness, but basically there was a lot of science and chatter about how the world was going to explode in population and we'll not have enough food and everyone will suffer famine and everything. And that was seen as like the de facto science, and that's why Singapore also had a stop at 2 and all these kind of things, policies that, 20 years later, we are regretting it like shit lah. 20, 30 years later, we regret it like shit because now we have an aging population that we can't catch up already lah, I mean, not saying that science is wrong, but trusting your elders, sometimes, just without the technology, they made mistakes back in the past, errors in judgment and all these things.
Fuck, yeah, if I ask my mom's opinion on like technology, I don't know what kind of phone I'll have, dude. What the hell?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I would like. There's some benefit to parental wisdom, lah.
Correct.
But you still have to kind of evolve it to current times, lah.
Correct,
no, and the other interesting thing also was that this letter was actually sent in a private group to church parents. Yeah, so that's where he's talking about elders. It was a WhatsApp group for church parents. So, I mean, it already paints this stereotype of people who are doctors, but do they really are they like really strong about science, or there's a bit, that whole science thing is also a lot of faith?
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't. I try not to conflate a person's religion with his work lah, right? I mean, his belief in science. I think it is possible for the two to coexist lah. But yeah, I mean, it does because it's sent to a very specific group of people. There might be some kind of biases that we don't know that might exist lah,
But that almost makes it scary, right? And it sounds a lot like what we were talking on the previous podcast, where you have kind of like external racism versus internalized racism. Not to say that spreading things like this is like equal to racist and all, but if that sort of behavior is happening out of the public eye, it's almost a bigger problem because it's happening without people knowing. And you always wonder, like, how do these anti-vaxxers, how do people get their information or misinformation about vaccine? It's because of letters like that. It's because of WhatsApp groups like that. And that is fucking scary.
Yeah.
It got leaked on Hardware Zone. Can you imagine? Hardware Zone almost broke the story.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Hardware Zone.
Yeah.
So maybe David Lye, actually, maybe we should reach out to David Lye and try and get him on the podcast. Because he's like Singapore's Fauci, man.
Yeah,
we said it once the last time.
Yeah.
And then now again. He's a cool dude, man.
I mean, I appreciate the effort. I mean, if this is really coming from him personally, I appreciate the effort to try and lay it out in as layman terms as possible. The reasons why he's worried or why you shouldn't trust so-called misinformation, even from the medical community as well, right? Because I think, like, even looking at your the comment section, there's a lot of interesting questions that are asked, and I think he responds there, or other people also respond there. So it's actually I feel like it's something you can actually learn something from, even just reading this post lah. So it's quite interesting that way.
I mean, it made me confused lah.
I know
there was one thread where someone kept arguing against him, and he just ended off by saying, "Wow, you're really just spreading misinformation." Because I think, like, honestly, she kept trying to rebut stuff that he was saying, but somewhat using technical terms as well. So I had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. And then it came to a point where he was replying, and then he just basically, and this is him kind of saying, oh my God, you are really spouting misinformation. That's how he ended the argument, because maybe he felt there was no point carrying on. And let's say this person really was speaking absolute gibberish, but to a lay person like me, she still sounds smart.
Yeah, true.
And that is what I guess that makes it so scary, because just by injecting words like, the pseudo virus created by Salk vaccine spike proteins have been found in blood plasma and human organs, I'm like, oh shit, maybe she knows her stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's the scary thing about all this, like even not this, but just conspiracy theorists, right? They actually they have the capacity to sound really smart, but it's almost like their minds are infected by some kind of parasite that doesn't let them be more objective when looking at the data, right? And then they actually internalize and memorize all these terms and all these statistics that really show the confirmation bias that they have in confirming something. So it's just it's almost like a mind parasite, like I was talking about the guy who was on Joe Rogan's show. That's why he describes these conspiracy theory ideas as they're mind parasites, or they slowly eat away at your brain.
Yeah, I mean, in some way also it's how the information is packaged, right? Because there's a certain interesting aspect to conspiracy theory, there's a certain how you say clout attached to knowing stuff that maybe other people don't know. You're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just something you enjoy participating in, so you believe in wholeheartedly. I mean, for example, you now feel you understand the whole Indian culture because of Indian matchmaking, right? I've tried to share with you my culture and Indian norms for years, but you didn't give a shit. You watch one show that packaged some sort of info in a entertaining way, and suddenly you're like Mr. India.
No, sorry, correction. It's not one show. It's two shows. That and Delhi Crime.
The other show?
That and Delhi Crime.
Delhi Crime. That and Delhi Crime. And you understand thousands of years of culture and history.
Exactly, yeah. it's I'm not even kidding, man. Those two shows really made me understand so much more of North and South India. Yeah.
So I guess the takeaway from us discussing this is that maybe as easy as it is to brush off misinformation in your family WhatsApp group, right? Maybe it's time we all stepped up and be little David Lyes in each of our family WhatsApp groups.
Yeah, but then but like you said, you couldn't even you were confused by what he wrote also, right? So
no, but basically, let's say you see the autopsy thing.
Yeah.
A simple Google search would yield it to be untrue.
Correct.
Of course,
I've done that before,
that is assuming MOH is not doing an MOM.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, because apart from that, this is also technical. I think it's just unlike other scams or other fake news, which you can almost feel it's fake just by reading it.
Yeah.
If you've got your finger on the pulse of pop culture and current affairs. But this whole technical COVID shit is so fucking complicated, right?
Yeah.
That man, I think just
the incentive for people to want to read the truth or even chase the truth is so low, right? I saw my friend who's from Seattle, and they are basically flying around the US, having holidays in Yellowstone Park and all that lah. So I asked her what's going on. How come the mood is so light in wherever you are? She says because 64% of San Francisco is vaccinated lah. 64% of I think the Pacific Northwest in general is very heavily vaccinated already, more than half and everything. And I said, well, how come? What's the big incentive? And they're like, basically there's a $1 million cash lottery, if you get vaccinated, and that's just driving everyone to do it, even if they have doubts about it and everything, lah.
That's so fucking smart, man.
Yeah,
that's so fucking.
I mean, Singapore, we are addicted to gambling and 4D and all this and Toto and all that, but I don't know why we don't just do it already, lah.
I mean, we did speak about it on the previous podcast as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So just calling dibs on this if it happens.
Yeah.
That it's something that we fully support.
Yeah.
You can collaborate with MBS and
Correct.
Resorts World Sentosa.
Just like we predicted F1 being cancelled, right? Correct.
Yeah, exactly. We predicted F1. It's true.
A lot of
Fucking
people pinged
predicted
me.
F1.
A lot of people pinged me after when F1 actually got cancelled, because
Yeah,
of our podcast. Yeah.
yeah. So maybe we should message Sudhir telling him, hey, you're not the only prophetic one, okay?
Yeah.
We also have our finger on the pulse. Nothing surprises us anymore.
Correct.
Nothing.
But
Except
speaking
maybe
of-
the next story.
yeah. Oh, nice segue. I was just about to say that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is this thing that surprises you?
2 days ago, Circles.Life, which is one of the newer telcos in Singapore, and which has always had a brand of being somewhat irreverent, like with their social experiments and videos.
Yeah.
They posted something on 7th June at 7:31 p.m.,
Yep.
which was a text on just a colored background that read, "This post was designed by a Filipino, copywritten by a Malay, approved by a Chinese." Then in bold letters below that, from a Singaporean brand that is 100% for the people.
Okay.
So when I saw that yesterday, it was obvious they were kind of latching onto the trending topic of racism in Singapore and interracial relationships and all that.
Yep.
But it blew my mind so much that I just felt, am I missing something? Is there something that this thing is trying to get at that's so intelligent and beyond my capacity to understand shit, right? That I was missing.
As in, what aspect of it blew your mind?
That, I mean, if you just read it like that, it's fucking stupid and it's just so tone deaf.
Yeah, can you explain why you feel that way? Yeah? Or why is it that way?
I mean, okay, because it immediately in the first 3 lines, there's a certain level of hierarchy. This post was designed by a Filipino, copywritten by a Malay, approved by a Chinese. Even if that's the truth, if you're talking about the topic of racism in Singapore, where there is a majority versus minority thing, to kind of claim that you're a Singaporean brand that is 100% for the people, yet you echo something that is almost the stereotype in Singapore. I don't understand how the hell that's supposed to what is it championing?
But the stereotype, I mean, it's kind of saying that we have a multiracial team working here at Circles.Life, and that's the Singaporean
But
way,
the approval finally done by a Chinese person, and that's the stereotype, right?
So it's the order of the thing that is pisses you off, lah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, if anyone just posts this on their Facebook page, I'm like, okay lah, fuck it, I don't care. But for a brand that I've always seen has, they do quite interesting stuff that's edgy and at least that's fresh, to do this and almost feel like, because the caption on the post is, "This is the right direction, we are sure," winky face. So that's where I was like, wait, am I missing something? Is this too smart for me?
Oh, wait, so can we just break it down a bit? So you would be totally okay with the ad if it was designed by a Chinese, copywritten by a Filipino, approved by a Malay? You'd be totally okay with it.
No lah, I would still feel it's stupid lah.
Okay, so it's stupid regardless.
Yeah, stupid regardless.
That means it's not the hierarchy that is making it stupid. Right? It's something else that's making it stupid, right?
No, as in the hierarchy one is stupid.
Okay.
And if you're trying to flip the stereotypical hierarchy and put a minority as the approver, I would feel it's stupid, but not that stupid.
Oh, so it'd be better lah, if that's the case.
It'd be less stupid. I don't even want to say better.
So you're
I don't
still saying it's stupid regardless lah. So I'm trying to understand why you say it's stupid. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just I think there's 2 reasons why people are very upset. One is like you mentioned the hierarchy, and the second one is what I'm trying to get from you.
Yeah. So yeah, the first one is that, okay, you're making the Chinese person the approval, right? Whether or not the majority minority thing makes sense or not, I think in the current climate to do that, you're already shooting yourself in the foot. Then the second thing is the point of this post. It's so much easier to just say this was created by a team of people. This. Like putting hierarchy already sets a hierarchy between races lah. And then to me it loses the message. If you're trying to say that this post was a collaborative effort between people of different ethnicities, that's great. Okay. But if you want to put in this hierarchy, what is the point of that hierarchy lah?
Okay, no, so I understand the hierarchy part, but then what is the part that you still say is still stupid?
I mean, for a brand to do this.
For a brand to do the hierarchy thing. But then, if it wasn't a hierarchy, if they did what you did, do you think people would still be angry? If they did what you said to do, which is we are a team of Indian, Malay, Chinese people, and we're 100% Singaporean, and this is the right direction. Do you think people will still be angry about it?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Because I have
Yeah.
the feeling that the other I don't know what percentage lah. Let's say just the other half, just for discussion lah. The other half of the anger is that they are so-called woke washing the incident, as in using a very unpleasant or very disgusting race act of racism for the purposes of their marketing lah. You know.
And can you explain that? What do you mean by that?
Woke washing lah, in the sense that
Yeah.
something bad happened. Thankfully it wasn't violence or what lah. But just imagine it was violence, like Asian hate or some shit like that lah, right? And then someone just saying, oh, we hire Asians we are 100%. We believe this is the right direction. And then it's almost like it becomes just part of your marketing campaign. As opposed to the focus being about discussing how racism still exists is very bad.
Okay.
So it just makes light of the whole thing. And I think because I was also trying to wrap my head around what was really wrong about this thing. And so I think people would still be offended even if they use the copy that you came up with just now. People would still be offended and irritated with the fact that they sort of hijacked this issue for their marketing lah.
Okay, yeah. I think that is a good point. That is a good point, which makes it even more stupid.
Yeah. So I'm not disagreeing as stupid. I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see where the anger from most people is coming from, and definitely there is that hierarchy thing, which I think was a huge oversight lah. But the second thing was the second thing is really that
it trivialized it lah.
Yeah, brands, especially when you're a brand, I think you just need to be careful about your timing also lah, right? Certain things, I think, when it's humorous, like East Coast Plan, that kind of thing.
Or like the umbrage. There were a lot of brands that jumped on the umbrage, and that was great lah.
Because it was, generally there's humor in there lah, but this one was really like, I struggle to find a funny point in this whole racist thing lah, right? Even though we are a podcast about finding humor in current affairs and all that, even then we were like, is this really something we want to talk about? Because the angle of it, we don't want to make light of it either, lah, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
they did what?
No, I was just gonna say we have worked with Circles.Life before, to be completely transparent also, lah, right? And we always enjoyed the campaigns and the thought process behind things, but this one they even doubled down on this on their original post, right? You saw, right?
Yeah.
Where they removed the actual races. They just left them as blanks, and then say that they stand by the original post about it being saying that they are basically you can fill in the blanks how you want lah, but they are basically a very diverse group of people.
Yeah. So Circles.Life has and always stand for equality and growth. We listen to your feedback because in bold letters we value you, our customers, the most. The same way we value the path of growth and accountability, not only as a brand but as humans behind it.
Yeah.
So it almost felt like again it's like that annoying friend who you try and point out an error. They're like, you know what? That's great. I'm so humble and gracious, and I'm such a great person that I always listen to advice. Thank you, and let's move on.
No, but that's why I thought it was very important to try and break down what is wrong with the thing. Because I think they understand that they understand that first point of the hierarchy. That's why they removed the races. But they don't understand the second point about the basically making light of the whole situation with their post and hijacking it for their own marketing purposes, And then there's a time and place for everything, and maybe this is just way too early, right?
Yeah, and even then I still feel like a brand can get on the back of a social issue that is being discussed, but it's the way you do it. And this totally missed the mark. And someone in the comments also used like a fancy word to describe what you're saying. It's performative hijacking of real issues. Just now what was your term just now?
Woke washing. Woke washing.
Woke washing.
Yeah.
Woke washing.
No, woke washing is
performative hijacking.
it's quite a common hashtag that is used to describe these situations.
Woke
For example,
washing.
I think if I remember correctly, when the pandemic first started, I think there was one of the local furniture brands, online furniture e-commerce sellers, was selling. Yeah, suddenly came out with a campaign saying that, oh, thank you frontliners. Here's a 30% discount code for you to use if you are a frontliner lah. And then a lot of people are like, come on, these frontliners are fucking like dying at their, not dying lah, but like, they're working their asses off at their work, and here you are using it for your marketing gain by like giving them a voucher, which they don't even have time to go and log on and go and buy your furniture and go shopping for your furniture. This is
It was a furniture company that did that.
yeah, a furniture company that did that lah. I won't mention who lah, but I think you probably would know lah.
I mean, I'm on the Reddit of this post. There was some comment that said, "Okay, designed by Filipino, copywritten by Malay, approved by Chinese," but they missed out the point that the founder is Indian.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that would have corrected everything. Yeah, but it's this. I think right now maybe the wound is still too sore, and then it was just maybe a timing issue lah. I mean, hopefully, do you think, what do you think they should do from here, Mr. PR consultant,
Mr. PR? Let me
head of marketing, right? Or is it?
Yeah. Let me put on my PR hat.
Yeah.
I think they should just shut the fuck up.
Really? As in what?
I think no.
No,
I think
literally,
now
what
at
steps?
this
Delete
point,
post, delete post, apology post. What?
I mean, honestly, for them, first of all, I mean, the post got 383 likes and a bunch of articles, not by mainstream media, but by some marketing interactive. I think if they issue an apology, it'll almost be, just looking at the post feels like they either don't get it or they still feel they did a great thing by listening to customers and putting their hats on.
Yeah.
I think just don't do this kind of stupid shit in future lah. And because we have seen fuck ups like of blackface, brownface, or being done by a company or network a few times in succession.
Yeah.
So for this, honestly, do an apology now. I don't know, man. Like I don't even like. I think you oversell my PR consultancy. I think for them it's just do better lah. Do better. The saying of the SJW, do better, Circles.Life.
I think they should apologize for the insensitive timing of that post while the wounds are still very raw and everything.
Oh, you think they should apologize?
Yeah, I mean, as in they should acknowledge that is timing wise wasn't the best lah, in terms of like trying to do a marketing thing, for their own brand. Because I think there are times when we celebrate the struggle, right? For example, June is pink dot and everything, right? So if at that point in time you come out with a statement and talk about you're an ally to LGBTQ movement and everything, that's okay lah. But when a hate crime or something is just committed, then you really jump out and then say, yes, I'm an ally and that's why you should support us as a brand. It's just very like very self-serving lah, so to speak.
So you're thinking that they should apologize just so that as a company it still shows that they have certain levels of compassion lah.
Yeah, because
whether or not people see it, just to put it out there.
Yeah.
And own it lah.
Because I think they don't understand why people are angry lah. And I think what we've done here is to really try to dissect and just put in like as non-SJW terms as possible why people are angry lor, And I say non-SJW because even though I said the word woke washing, was because even I still had to Google the word woke washing before I used it and everything lah.
But now you also have performative hijacking.
Performative hijacking.
Performative hijacking. It's not your regular hijack.
Yeah.
It's performative.
The one is wow, not quite next level.
Performative hijacking.
Yeah.
Walao.
Yeah. But like Harish says, do better. Although
do better, Circles.Life. Okay, do better.
Yeah.
Hashtag do better.
Yeah. But speaking of doing better, we always try to highlight some of the better comments from our
Who have been
listeners and
people who have been doing better all along.
Do you want to go first?
Yes, sure, why not?
Sure.
My one wait, so yours is from which platform?
Reddit.
Reddit. Okay, then
Just go for it. I have a couple.
Okay. Mine is someone who messaged us just earlier this afternoon. Who said, don't do a shout out with their name. It's not necessary, so I will keep you anonymous. But they messaged us on Instagram saying that they recently discovered this podcast and wanted to let us know that it is amazing. Are we surprised? Which to me means that this person has already been listening to a few episodes and is aware of the running joke of me never being surprised.
Yeah. Harish, but the non-surprised person.
Yeah, I'm never surprised. Never surprised. But the most touching thing was that this person is currently living and working alone in Europe during COVID. But our SG brand of humor and discussion of the latest topics back home helps him feel connected.
Oh, he's Singaporean.
So I assume. Okay, so I don't know, these kind of messages about Singaporeans abroad listening to our podcast and feeling connected always kind of like warms the cockles of my heart.
Of course, man. I tell you, like, to be honest, when I was living and I was studying or living abroad, working abroad. I mean, I wish I had an avenue like but to just keep in touch with things going on back home, back then was tough, as I was explaining to a Gen Z person recently. Like back then, podcasts literally you had to download them onto an iPod. And then after that, transfer them from using a wire from your computer to your iPod. Then you could listen to it on your iPod, a podcast on your iPod. Whereas now it's just so seamless, everything's wireless and all that. So, it's just much easier way to feel in touch with home. In fact, I think we probably talk about more news topics than probably like the average person does in Singapore, right?
I assume so. I assume so.
Yeah. So it does. In fact, you might be, by listening to us, you might actually know more about stuff going on in Singapore than the average person. Just going about their day. Yeah.
Can put on your LinkedIn. Aware of Singapore issues. Like ex-Google, ex-McKinsey.
Yeah.
Always aware of Singapore issues.
Yeah. Actually.
Oh, and this person also messaged that he used his real name, so it's higher ranked on Terence's algorithm. So sweet, no?
He knows. He knows my preference.
He knows your criteria. Yeah, he knows your preference.
Sekali he's tofu ball, this guy.
No, who knows? Who knows, man?
Yeah, but cool. Actually, I have. There were a couple of really interesting, good comments this time. So the first one I wanted to point out was that long-time listener to our podcast, Pillyback's Toodles. I think she's a illustrator. She has created out of her own accord a beautiful set of stickers that you can use on Telegram and Instagram stories to Yalabat stickers basically that feature moving gifs of you and me, of some of our favorite catchphrases and stuff like that. And it was pretty awesome. I shared it on our Ministry of Funny Instagram already. But I think I just going to test it out. Like if I were to try and post a story, and then if I search for Yala,
you can see it.
Oh, it comes up. Is
dope, man.
The stickers come up. Oh yeah. So I'm literally looking
amazing.
at it. There's a One Shiok thing. There's a cool. There's a bird. There's a more One Shiok things, and then like some images of Harish and myself from our posters. I think it's pretty awesome. It's really like I mean, like it almost brought a tear to my eye when I saw it. Yeah. And she shared it with everyone in our Reddit as well. So hopefully people will be using this to talk to each other.
It all started with a doodle she made last year, and then now there's these stickers on Instagram and WhatsApp. You can have a WhatsApp sticker.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and I mean she does do commissions as well on her Instagram page.
Yeah.
For that sort of graphic artist. So shout out to Pillyback's Toodles.
Yeah, and the other comment that I also I wanted to highlight was actually sent to me via a friend of ours, Don, who also listens to our podcast. He just sent me a screenshot of a conversation with his wife. Basically, his wife sent him an article saying that the headline is "Tragic but True: How Podcasters Replaced Our Real Friends." So, I think that the wife is basically telling him that. She quotes, "My wife would argue that I talk about them more than I do my own friends, but I do know the difference." So I think Don is having the existential crisis where he feels like he's talking to us more than, or he talks about the podcasts he listens to more than about actual people, that his real friends. I don't know if I feel good that we have managed to help fill certain voids in people's lives, because during this pandemic you can't see a lot of people and all that lah. So that's why I wanted to point out this screenshot that he sent me. Yeah.
Wow, that's sweet.
Yeah. It was a nice article.
So yeah, I mean, we have a community of friends.
Yeah.
We're talking to our friends, and friends are listening to us.
Yeah.
Which is ironic, because most of my friends in real life often ask me to shut up when I talk too much.
No, you know what I think it is not. Last time we would sometimes over lunch we would debate about these kind of things, right? Then a lot of times people start dropping off from the conversation because they're either not interested or
Yeah, correct.
or they're like, what the hell are these two talking about lah? So I think it's the kind of situation where they're just watching two people just go on about something that, come on lah, it's a dead horse really. Just get off it really.
Oh my god, that is so
Right.
true, because I remember so many lunches when we had a team who we were working with, and employees and interns, and me and you would go on forever, and after a while they'll just take out your phones, and I always just think, guys, join in the conversation.
Why
But
are you
they
not interested? Are we not your friends? Then after that it became like, oh, you guys go ahead for lunch. I'm just gonna like pack in and all that. Then it'll just
And
be
that
you
really
and me.
happened also.
Yeah, it'll just be you and me.
So
Then-
those were literally our first Yalabat live shows with the most unenthusiastic audience ever. Oh my god.
But the value of persistence, we just kept
fucking
going
hilarious,
on and
man.
on, and now people are telling us, I'm in Europe and I want to be like, I don't mind sitting there listening to you guys.
Yeah. So all those people we used to have lunch with and would just switch off, you guys had your chance.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys had your chance and you missed it. Okay. Now we have other people who give a shit. That's great. That is great. Oh my god, that is great.
It's funny.
Oh,
But yes,
that's great.
What is your one
Our
shook thing?
one shook thing. Why don't you go first?
I'm just pretty excited about what I've discovered during this round of the French Open, the Roland Garros tennis tournament. I discovered there's a very active tennis community on Reddit as well, the subreddit tennis, and a lot of funny memes that came up because of all the funny things that have been happening, strange things that have been happening this Roland Garros. I mean, it started with Naomi Osaka pulling out the tournament because of mental health issues and refusing to speak to the press. And then there was Roger Federer pulled out the tournament also because he basically was just like, this tournament was prep for Wimbledon, so he didn't want to play too many matches, and basically all the old guard Rafael Nadal and Djokovic still hammering on the young kids like Medvedev and all of them. So it's just a lot of funny memes and interesting discussions that have been coming up because of this during this French Open lah. I mean, tennis itself is not the most spectator friendly or the most talked about sport already. So it's just been nice for me to find a community on the tennis subreddit that does funny memes and and just discusses all these different strange topics going on in the world of tennis now. Yeah, I mean, the whole Roger Federer pulling out of the French Open thing has been a very, very big discussion point for the tennis subreddit.
And I mean, generally, what about what is the
people are
thing
saying
that people are
if
talking about?
Serena Williams or Djokovic did the same thing, pulled the same stunt, they will be skewered by the media, skewered by everyone. But because it's Sir Roger Federer, the one, the only.
Sir Roger Federer.
So he's given, everyone's just like, okay, sure, you've earned it, and good luck, Roger. See you under the grass and all that lah.
Oh, they even compared it with the reaction to Naomi Osaka's pulling out, right?
Exactly. So they said, yeah, why is it so different? Is it? I mean, some people bring up the sexism and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, lah. Then there's also arguments that Roger Federer, I mean, an athlete is not there for you to just there for your entertainment. He's also protecting his own body. Right? If he says he doesn't feel like he can play, should you be criticizing him, lah? But in the same breath, Roger Federer has criticized Djokovic like 11 years ago for doing the same thing, lah, retiring in the middle of a match, lah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so a lot of people are just they're making a discussion of it. So I think it's an interesting discussion to have and something to also check yourself, lah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
that's interesting, isn't it? Because Roger Federer is almost like untouchable, like he's like god of
He
tennis,
is, lah.
right?
I mean, not just tennis. I think in general in sports, like how many father of four, like nearing 40 years old already, still playing at the top 5 level.
World class, lah.
Yeah, and coming back from 2 knee surgeries and even and his last match that he played at French Open, he played until 1 a.m. There was no crowd because there's still a 9 p.m. curfew in Paris. So a 40-year-old dude who's already won 20 Grand Slams, still motivated to play in front of empty stadiums after 2 knee surgeries is pretty awesome, lah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, sweetly enough, my One Shiok thing. Are you done already?
Yes, I'm done. Yeah.
Okay. My One Shiok thing also concerns like a 40-year-old-ish. But actually, a 40-year-old-ish and a 50-year-old-ish and a 20-plus-year-old-ish. So we all know the Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fight happened 2 days ago, right? And I mean, for those of you who maybe are unaware, it was Floyd Mayweather who's arguably the greatest boxer to have ever fought the game. His professional record is 50-0.
Yeah.
He's like a billionaire from his winnings. And he's 42 years old, I think a father of 3 also. And he fought in an exhibition match against Logan Paul, who's a YouTuber, right?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
But I think when you hear that, right, here's one of the greatest boxers of all time fighting a YouTuber. It is so easy to shit on the event, the match, the YouTuber itself. But Joe Rogan had a very nice post, I don't know if you saw it, where he talked about how surprisingly excited he was to watch the fight. It lasted 8 rounds. Apparently, it wasn't the most exciting. There was no winner declared because it was an exhibition match. But he brought up a very good point, like, it's so easy to shit on Floyd Mayweather because, people are saying he's doing it for the money. And it's so easy to shit on Logan Paul because, he's a very controversial figure.
Yeah.
But if you look at the both of them, what he pointed out is that here's Floyd Mayweather who has somehow managed to be so lucrative in the art of boxing and finding a way to still let his record stay untainted. People still see him as the greatest boxer, but make money off these fights, like with Conor McGregor, where he made, I don't know, like 100 million or something.
Yeah.
With Logan Paul, he made a lot. And on the flip side, you have Logan Paul, who is a YouTuber. He had some wrestling experience, but I think it was 3 years ago, where he said in some podcast or something that he's getting into boxing and one day he will fight Floyd Mayweather. Like, I think it was a tweet, hey Floyd, want to fight or something. And the fact that he made it happen, how many thousands of boxers would have been in line to fight Floyd Mayweather for fucking ever, and he leapfrogged all of them. He's fought like one spectator, like a boxing fight with like
KSI,
thousands of
right?
spectators.
Yeah.
KSI. And I mean, you have to salute that, man. Like, however he made it happen, right? Be it with an audience, be it his commercial savviness. I just thought, like, okay, you can shit on the fact that what kind of fight is this? It's just purely for the money. But at the same time, it is really an achievement, man.
So I mean,
It's really an achievement.
that's Joe Rogan's side of things. I think I've watched some other commentaries where people said like, at the end of the day, both of them won, but the sport of boxing,
The sport
lost.
suffered.
The boxing lost because people are going to think that boxing is just all this. It's almost like WWE, right? It's basically entertainment. It's not a real sport, and it's always going to be these real fighters versus these fake fighters, and it'll always be an imbalanced thing just to make a quick buck,
Yeah. So I totally agree that the sport of boxing it did take it's no longer just boxing. It's almost like, okay, now comes the entertainment, the commercial viability, but I think as for someone to really make it happen, right, it fucking blows my mind, man. That's like almost saying that I'm going to challenge, I don't know, like Yeah, like Federer to a tennis game lah.
Yeah.
That's literally me saying in 2 years I want to play an exhibition match with Roger Federer.
Yeah. That's
Like, wow.
true lah. But it's a sad day.
Yeah.
I do agree that in some sense it is sad for the sport lah. Because I mean, someone like me, I'm not a huge fan. But when Conor McGregor boxed Mayweather, I still bought I ended up paying to watch the pay-per-view, right? Because I felt like, okay, it's quite interesting to see an actual fighter, like two actual fighters fight lah. But now I see like the kind of fighters
YouTuber,
that fight. I'm not gonna pay for that shit, and I probably never will ever pay for any more boxing, just because to me now it just feels like the whole thing's just a joke lah. There's no real like boxing going on. They're just carrying each other and just hoping to survive 8 rounds so that people feel like they watched a real fight lah,
But almost like, if you look at football, right, you always have these exhibition games where these people go to countries and play all these friendly matches. Like, I mean, last time when Tottenham and all come to Singapore, or like, I don't know who come to Singapore, trash us 9-0.
Yeah.
In some way also, that's kind of like, it's an exhibition match, it's clear, but it's not the proper football games.
Yeah, but
so why can't boxing take that sort of path?
Yeah, like if it doesn't count towards like his boxing record, lor, like 51 and all. This exhibition match.
Yeah, there was no winner declared. There was never going to be a winner declared.
But besides that, also, like, how else can I get to watch? Will Tottenham be playing in the Premier League after they play the exhibition match? They will, right? Whereas for many, many years, people were clamoring for Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, and they just like never made it happen for many, many years until Manny Pacquiao was kind of a bit over the hill already and everything. So it just wasn't. It wasn't like when the two were able to meet their prime, they didn't meet. But I think for some reason they waited until much later. So it's just, if he fights. I mean, boxing is a bit different from football in the sense that you can only get punched in the head that many times before something actually goes wrong with you, right? But
football also, you got a finite career.
Yeah, finite career. But then you have the guarantee that there's a Premier League every year, right? And then you will see Tottenham play at its highest level that they can possibly play at, in order to win the actual competition. Whereas like boxing, after Logan Paul, like what's next? Jake Paul,
But if you think about it, like Floyd Mayweather, whether he fought this fight or not, he was not gonna carry on fighting professionally. So it's almost like, you get those testimonial matches of like a 50-year-old, I don't know, Cafu or Beckham or something coming to Singapore and playing an exhibition match. It's still for entertainment. It's for an exhibition.
No, but I think Floyd Mayweather still can fight competitive. He can still fight competitively. He's not like over the hill or anything yet. He is a bit older, but the more interesting thing would have to see him against another older fighter, rather than a complete nobody and that
like Mike Tyson and that guy,
yeah,
Mike Tyson
exactly.
and
That one, at least like there's a feeling it's fair, it's competition. Whereas this one really didn't have that feel of a competition. It was more like a media circus,
Yeah, it was a media circus,
Yeah. So
but that's where,
happy for them, but it's just not my kind of thing, I mean, boxing has lost my interest already.
No, but I think also that like your approach is, it's a very purist approach. I mean, if you ask me, I also feel like, okay, boxing took a hit, but I also feel that maybe the sport, for the longest time, people have been saying boxing is no longer as popular as it used to be. Now with MMA and all that. Not to say that boxing needs to go down this media circus clownish path, but maybe this is part of it, figuring out, okay, what's next for boxing. Maybe it does adopt, okay, you have this professional circuit, but every year, if you're a professional boxer, you have to fight one fuck it. You pick, you need to do one exhibition fight with some fuck it that is voted on by the public and all that, and that becomes like an exhibition fight.
Yeah. I mean,
so maybe it's teething problems in the evolution of boxing.
But I mean, I think about a month or two ago, I was actually quite interested to know watch the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren fight But ultimately, I even like the whole thing just felt like Ben Askren didn't really even give a shit about the result either. I think people even accusing him of throwing the fight Basically, he just went in knowing
to
that
get the money.
Yeah, just get money, and who cares So that's the part that I feel is sad If I mean, let's say if other YouTubers all come out and then there's a competitive YouTuber league, of people in the same level fighting their way up, and then the winner gets to fight someone, from the MMA community or something. And then okay lah. Whereas like now I feel like the MMA people are just throwing their hat in the ring just for a quick payday lah. Rather
No,
than anything.
maybe that might happen, because the one thing is now it has kind of shown that if you get someone with a huge following, people will be willing to pay lah.
Yeah.
I'm sure boxing promoters are thinking, let's get an influencer championship.
Like it's the Stephen Lim one essentially.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the white collar boxing thing has been happening for a long time. This is just white collar boxing to the next level.
The next level, yeah.
The next level.
Yeah.
But that's why it's just I'm curious to see what happens after this. I wouldn't say it's all bad. To me, it's like, okay, this is the next stage of boxing. Where it goes from here, who knows lah.
I'm so done with it already. Yeah.
You're so done.
Yeah. Done already.
You're so done.
Yeah. As is the podcast.
Don't be so conservative, okay?
Yeah. I purist, not conservative. Purist.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Cool.
I can tell you don't want to take part in that discussion anymore. You're so done even with that discussion, just like how you're done with boxing. You're done with a discussion about the doneness of boxing.
It's a One Shiok thing, it's not a discussion. Discussion different.
Yeah, but you were the one who fucking started questioning my One Shiok thing. So you don't talk. You started the discussion.
It's still
you shared on it.
I said they are all winners, but the sport is worse off for it. But okay.
Yeah, so in some way that's putting a negative shade on my positive One Shiok thing.
There's a negative shade for everything. Life is not so black and white. It's not like your background all white and a One Shiok thing also has dark sides.
You just said the discussion should end because it's a One Shiok thing, so it should be end on a positive note, so no point going down a negative rabbit hole. But you dug the hole in the first place. I just want to clarify that.
I didn't say anything about negative rabbit hole. I just said, I think this. I'm done with the sport boxing, but I think we're done in terms of time also, because we need to jump onto another call also. Right?
Now finding excuses, even though that's true.
But it's true.
All right. Yeah, it is true.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you for listening till here. And if this podcast brought a smile to your face, it'd be great if you could share it with one other person. For all the discussions and comments, head on over to our subreddit. The link is in the show notes.
All right.
Cool. All right. Talk to y'all soon.